We are talking about the proving and performance loop and why you need to heal it when you want to accomplish things as a fearful avoidant. I am Pauline and I am so happy you are here because the fearful avoidant attachment style doesn't just impact your relationships, they impact pretty much all areas of your life. And some areas you could notice it more than other areas. There are fearful avoidants that only notice it in relationships, but for the most part, you probably will notice it in all areas of your life. And what you may notice when it comes to the proving and performance loop, which I obviously will explain in a minute, is procrastination, resistance, immense pressure to do it right and to be consistent, to keep it up. All of that ties into proving and performance. And what you will probably notice is that you will sabotage in whatever way when it's here. The thing that you have been working for so hard, or you're trying to work for so hard, when it's here, you sabotage it. And in one way or another, all of a sudden, you kind of have to start all over. Or you won't even let yourself get there because you feel so much resistance and you sabotage or you procrastinate. So it never really even starts. And that also can be explained by the proving and performance loop. So let's first dive into both of those individually. The proving means that you have to show and confirm that you are worthy of the thing you are wanting. And this sounds very, very big, but it could be as small as you wanting to do an exam right, or you want to create something. And when you feel that feeling of, but then I have to prove that I am worthy, it feels like trying to get in. Like the thing you want is outside of you, and you have to do a lot of things in order to obtain it, to get there. And this sounds, when I'm explaining it, it sounds so obvious, right? Isn't this how things go, that you actually have to achieve it and work for it and get to it? But what differentiates people that are easily successful in what they do is that they already own it before they actually achieve it. And what I mean by that is that when you believe that you are absolutely worthy of getting a really good grade on that exam, or graduating and being a doctor, or whatever it is that you're working towards, when you already kind of own that identity, of course I'm worthy of that, of course I can do that, it becomes almost a million times easier to do the things that are necessary in order to obtain that, because there's no emotional charge around that and therefore no sabotaging. Whereas when you don't think that you actually deserve that, you will make it much harder just to prove that you are worthy of it. And all the things that you will have to do to get in, to get that thing in your life and make it part of your identity, will make it much harder. You will make that much bigger. One of the examples that now comes to mind is that a lot of people have this dream of being a published author. And I don't talk about this a lot, but I am a published author in the Netherlands, which honestly definitely is different than the American market or the global market. But also in the Netherlands, there are a lot of people who want to be a published author and have a lot of hangups with that. That they feel that they're not smart enough, that they can't write well enough. And I didn't have that. I did a project where I interviewed 100 couples who had been happily married over 40 years, and that was such a passion project. I loved doing that. I loved learning from those couples. It really was for my own, my own life, my own search. And somewhere along the way during those interviews, I thought this should be a book because I want more people to know this. I want more people to read these stories and to get all of these valuable insights that I'm getting. And so one of the most logical ways to get that into the hands of the most people was to get it published at a publisher. And that was pretty much it. I didn't really attach anything else to it. It wasn't like a status thing, like, oh, I want to be a published author. It was just, I want more people to to be able to read these stories. And so what I did was I wrote the book. I just already wrote the book without having a publisher, without even knowing how to get one, because I had no connections whatsoever. I didn't even know the publishers in the Netherlands. I was 23 at the time. And I just started writing the book. And when the publisher wasn't there yet, by the time I had finished the book, I first self-published because I just wanted people to be able to read those stories. And I talked to a lot of people about that I wanted to write a book and I actually would love to get it published. And so what happened was that somebody that followed the project that I didn't really know, she met with an old friend who turned out to be I don't even know what this is called in English, but she worked at the biggest independent publishing house in the Netherlands. All of this was unbeknownst to me. And she talks about the project and the fact that I had written a book, and her friend was like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. Could she send me a manuscript? And so the person that I barely knew that was following the project emailed me and said, can you send over a manuscript? Because I have a friend and she, I think, works at a publisher she didn't even really know. And she wants to read it to see if she can help you. And I said, sure. And I Googled right after that, what is a manuscript and what do you have to put in that? I had no idea. And so I read it. I just made it. It was like a few pages. And I sent it, and just thinking, maybe she can help me at least know how to get in with a publisher. And then she came back and she said, oh, she wants to meet you. Is that okay? And I was probably very naive. I didn't really think anything of it. I also didn't probably want to get my hopes up. But we met, and they were interested. And long story short, a week later, I had signed the contract, and I was a published author. But there was just no hangups to it whatsoever. It wasn't an identity. It wasn't a status thing, an identity thing. And so my worth wasn't attached to it. And I think that made such a big difference. So all of a sudden I was in a certain, whatever you can call it, identity that a lot of people want as a published author. But it was so easy. I didn't work really hard for it. I didn't have to prove anything because I didn't have those hangups. So that's what I mean by, if you make the thing that you want so much bigger and so much more outside of you, it will become much harder to obtain it. But when you already kind of feel worthy of it, or you're neutral around it, it becomes much easier. So when I would have had a lot of hangups about being a published author, I probably would have sabotaged the whole process, because I would have thought, I'm only 23, what do I know? Or I'm not a very good writer. I make so many mistakes while writing, But none of that even came up, because I didn't attach my worth to it. I didn't make it such a big thing. So that's the proving part. The performing part is, so proving is showing you're worthy of it. Then performing is showing that you are deserving of it. And that means keeping it up, having to keep performing. And that means I have to do this right, which when you're a fearful avoidant usually means I have to do this perfect. And I can't drop the ball. I can't fail. I can't make mistakes at all. And these go together because you are proving and proving that you are worthy of it. And then when you have it, you have to perform and keep it up. And when you already know that to begin with, it makes so much sense that you have a lot of resistance to it, and you procrastinate a lot, because that just sounds exhausting, doesn't it? When you first have to do so much work to prove that you're worthy of something, and then when you have it, you can't just be happy and enjoy it. No, then you have to keep performing to show that you're deserving of it. Man, that's just a lot of work. That just takes a lot of energy. And so it makes sense that there's a lot of procrastination and sabotage happening to get you back to a safe place where you don't have to perform and where you don't have to prove all the time. So then you kind of, when you still want that thing or think you should want that thing, you kind of get into this loop where you try to prove, and then there's this massive amount of resistance because your fear brain believes that when you have it, then you have to keep performing to keep it, and you can't drop the ball and you will fail, and that will also be such a massive thing. And then it just feels safer to get back to square one and just start over, you know? So you won't let yourself get there. You won't let yourself get to the point of you actually having that thing. And when having it becomes your new identity, it can be so easy to get it. But for that, you need to be able to hold that neutrality. So no build and destroy, which is a very common fearful avoidant pattern. And you build something, you go for something that could be a relationship, that could be, anything, a business, or going for a degree. And then when this mechanism kind of kicks in, that you will have to also prove it and perform to keep it, then you will destroy, and that kind of keeps you in that build and destroy loop. And you don't want to get there, because it's exhausting to be in that. And one of the ways out is to already make it a part of your identity before you have it, and just see that it is neutral. It is neutral, and nothing really can add or take away from your identity. I don't find myself any better because I'm a published author, even though I know that a lot of people will feel that way, or think that it feels that way. It's a part of my life now that I'm grateful for, but it's not something that is very at the forefront, if that makes sense. So it's just the more neutral you make that thing that you want right now, just imagining it, having it right now, the easier it will be to allow it in, to allow yourself to get there. And this can also pertain to being healed. What I see so much is that people make it so hard to get to that place of being healed, like that you have to fight and struggle just to, be able to enjoy life and be a person without being triggered all the time. But the more neutral you make that to be, without having to prove that you're worthy of that, or having to perform being a perfect person, the easier it becomes. And that means that having a very clear view of what it means to have a secure attachment, which kind of means being healed, and letting that be neutral, it becomes so much easier to heal it. So making the destination functional, making there where you want to go functional, in the sense that you make it neutral, will really help you in making it easy to get there, making it much easier to get there and get out of that proving and performance loop. But we get stuck in the idea that you have to work really hard to get something that you want. And there may be action involved, there may be physical action involved, but usually it's much less than you think you have to when you are in that proving and performance loop. And also, action is not bad. When there's a lot of resistance to action, that usually means that there is a lot of charge around it, meaning you have to perform, you can't fail, you can't look dumb, you can't, that's a lot of charge. And then action becomes really heavy. But the more you release that, the more, the easier it becomes. And action can actually be joyful. So that is the proving and performance loop, and why you need to heal it when you want to accomplish things, and also how to do that. Because make it neutral, make it, make your body and your fear brain already feel like it's already here. and it becomes so much easier. So much easier. Do you have questions about this? Because I can understand if this is not completely, if this is still a little bit abstract. If you do, please let me know in the comments below, because I love to hear from you. And as always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.